Hello viewers, welcome to Ec2. My name is Arvind. Today we'll be learning how to launch a static website in AWS Ec2 Linux Instance and how to configure elastic load balancer and auto scaling. So let's start with the services that we'll be using today. So today we'll be using Ec2 Instance, AMI, Amazon Machine Image, elastic load balancer, auto scaling, and Apache webserver. So first we will log into the Linux machine now. So on my previous video I have showed you how to launch Ec2 Linux. So that this time I'm already launched 2 instance. So we'll directly log in to the server. So in case if you want to know how to launch the instance, you can watch my previous video on this, and it has been posted in the description below. So I'm just logging into the server now directly. Since it is a Red Hat server, I'm using Ec2 username. Okay, I'll switch to the root user. So first we need to install the Apache server. So the command is install httpd. It will just take 1 or 2 minutes to install it. So there are two servers, web server 1 and web server 2. So right now configuring web server 1, and I already configured web server 2. So we won't be doing that now, since it is almost replica of web server 1. So I'll be showing you how to install the Apache server, how to control the services of Apache server, and how to host a website, static website here. Okay, the service HTTP is installed now, so let's go ahead and start the service. So the command is systemctl restart httpd. So yeah, it's restarted. Let's check the status. Status running. Let's enable it. The reason why we enable this because every time we restart the server, we don't have to manually come and start the service. When we enable, automatically the service will be started and the server is restarted. So yeah, the service is running. Let's go to the path. So the path is var www.html. So this is where we will be hosting a static website. So first we need to create a web page here. So before that, let's go ahead and get the code here. So now gonna waste time on explaining the code here. So I'm just gonna copy the code from one of the website. I'll be posting this link in the description so that you can use this as well. So just copy the code here. So I'm just gonna create index.html page here. So I created this code for the static website. I'm just going to change the header of this static website. So that would be web server 1. Cloud. I'm just editing the code, so just to make a difference. Yeah, I'm just saving this file now. Yeah, so if you see here, we just copied the static website code and we created index.html page here. So let's try to launch these. I'm just copying the public IP address. See here, so the one which we created now, so we are able to launch. So the web server 1, we just launched it. So web server 1 easy cloud website created. So this is how you host a website, static website. So next what we will do is we will configure this to the load balancer and check how the traffic is diverted between these two servers. Okay, so let me also create a second page for this static website. I'm just copying this, I'm just going back to the server. Yeah, if you see, just there is only index.html, so I'm just going to create a directory. So it would be webserver 1. The name of the directory is webserver 1 and vi index.html. So we need to go back, we need to go to the folder which we created, and I'm gonna create index.html here as well. So I'm just going to copy it here. I'm just going to edit the name here. It will be just webserver 1. Okay, nothing else. So if you go back here to our page, so if I just change the link here, web server 2, so it's 1. See, it is taking us to the next static web page. So let's try how the load balancer works between these two servers, how the traffic is being diverted between these two servers. So let me just go to load balancer here. Okay, I'm just gonna create a load balancer. We're gonna use application load balancer here. So name of the load balancer would be first web server. I'm gonna give any space or any character here. So first web server. So the scheme would be internet facing, since it is we are using public IP address, and listeners are HTTP, that is good, and availability zone. We're going to select availability zone 1 and E, because by default there will be 2 availability zones. Okay, so configure security settings. I'm going to create a new one. So here load balancer, the first web server. Okay, the same thing I will paste here. I'm going to make any changes here. So yeah, support 80. Next, configure routing. So we need to create a target group here. So it would be first web server instance, and I'm not going to make any changes here. So even the path here, the health check path, so whatever the path that we're going to give, where the load balancer will go to that particular path and will check if the particular file is there or not. In case if it is not there, then it will give a status as unhealthy. So if you don't give anything here, it directly takes the index.html page in the HTML folder. So in case if you want to give some other path, though, so you can give it like the one which we created, that is web server 1 folder slash. So the one that we created, we can give that as well. So currently we're not going to give anything, I'm just going to leave it blank. Next, so here there are 2 servers. So one the web server 1a, the web server 2, and web server 1. So I'm gonna add these 2 here and review and create. So it is creating now. So let's go back to the web server. So this is the load balancer that we created, and the 2 servers that we created, we have added that in this load balancer. So let's go and check now Might take 1 or 2 minutes to configure everything, but let's go try. This is a DNS name, so this is the one which will be hosting the public DNS. I'm just going to check. So it's still not ready. Let's wait for some time. So between that, let's go and check the server here, and let's create an AMI of the server that we created. So we're going to create an image of this server. Web server to AMI 000. Just the name I'm giving to this image. Create image. So it's one. Create image. So I've already taken AMI of the second server, so we're not going to make any changes to the second one. The one which we created, we configure everything in web server 1. So for that we have taken the AMI of the server. So let's go back to the load balancer now, the one which we created here. See, do you see currently it is showing us the web server 2. So let's go ahead and refresh it once. So yeah, it got changed to web server 1. So what it means is the load balancer will direct the traffic to both the servers. So if it does for web server 1, then next traffic will go to web server 2. So every time I refresh, the server changes. Do you see this on the screen? Web server 2, web server 1. This is how the load balancer works. This is the simplest way of redirecting the traffic using load balancer. There's another way as well, using auto scaling group. We can do it that way, and we can add the listeners to the this time it is directing to the servers directly. Next time we will be adding the path to the load balancer. So that's how we're gonna do it next. So using the auto scaling group as well. So let me just go ahead and show you how to do that now. So the primary thing that we need for the auto scaling group is the image, the AMI. Using this AMI, the auto scaling groups will work. So what is auto scaling group? So what it does is actually when there's a too much of load into the server, during that time the application, the server might hang, or the server might hang, the user might face issue accessing the server. So what auto scaling does is, whenever the server is not responding, or any we can give any condition, like if the CPU percentage utilization goes above 90, we can set a configuration like every time it reaches the maximum threshold, it will create another server to direct the traffic. So it will balance the traffic between these servers, or if server goes down, then automatically a new server will launch to direct the traffic. So auto scaling does this. And once the utilization comes down, the auto scaling, the server which was launched by the auto scaling group, it will be terminated automatically. That also we can configure in the auto scaling. So next what we're gonna do is, we saw now how the load balancer traffic directs between these two servers. So next we will be using a different method to direct the traffic. So let me just go ahead and show you that. So let me not to confuse you, so I will just delete this load balancer now, and I'm gonna create a new one next. So delete I'm gonna delete this as well. So I'm gonna create next. Yeah, I'm gonna create auto scaling group. Here the auto scaling group is same as like configuring launching our new server. So here instead of selecting other public AMI, we're gonna use our own AMI that we created using our web server. So first one, I'm going to select web server 1 EMI, and all other configuration remains same though. So the create launch configuration, the name of this would be auto web server 1. Okay, so yeah, now we're not going to make any changes to this. Next, to the storage security group. Here the security group would be the one which we require. So we can use the selecting existing one, and you can create a new one. So we'll go for a new one. So the main we need is HTTP port 80. Yeah, review. The same as launching a new server. Create launch configuration. We're going to use the same key pair to launch, to access the instance. It is done now. So next, what we're going to do is we need to create auto scaling group for the configuration that we created just now. So this would be auto web server 1. Okay, the group start with instance 1. The minimum is 1. So we're going to select 1A, 1B. So the minimum subnet that is required is 2. So I'm going to use the same default VPC and subnets, 2 subnets, 1A, 1B. Next. So auto scaling group, this one, as I said earlier, the scale between 1 and 1 instances. So we're not going to make, or if we want, we can make like 2 or even 10 instances maximum, depends on your application load. So here the name of the scaling group is this, and as I said earlier, we can create a auto scaling group based on our utilization in network or CPU. In case here, if the CPU utilization goes above 80, then the new instance will be launched using this auto scaling group. And the next one is instances need. So it is like how much minute of threshold you want to hold before you create a new instance, because there might be a spike in for a few seconds and it might go down immediately. For that we cannot every time create a new instance for those short spikes. For that we can wait here for like 30 seconds, 1 minute or 5 minutes like that, and automatically it will scale out once the utilization comes down. If you don't want that, then you can disable the scaling here. So you can do this as well here, and but we're not going to make any of the changes here. So we're not going to use this. So we'll be going with the default one. Now I'm not going to add any notification here. Tag. So not going to make any changes here as well. Close. Okay, so if you see here, the instance is showing 0. It means that do you see the I over here? It means the new instance is launching with our custom EMI that we created sometime back. So we're going to create another auto scaling group here, launch configuration for the web server 2. So launch configuration, create a new launch configuration, web server 2, same. I'm going to make any changes here. Auto web server 2. Not going to make any other changes here. Next. Yeah, here I'm going to just add HTTP. That's it. Review, create, and selecting the same key pair, and the auto scaling group here, auto web server 2. So subnet same as 1A and 1B. I'm going to make any changes here as well, here as well. Create. Yeah, it's created now. So if you see here, we created 2 auto scaling groups now. So we're going to use this auto scaling group with the AMI that we created, and the traffic will be balanced between these 2. So let's go back now to the instances. Let's check if the instance has been triggered. It should be launching now. Yeah, do you see this 2 servers that is initializing here? These are the servers. So let's check if these are working now. So we use these AMIs here to launch. So let's give a name for this AMI, the same name as this. Done. Okay, so let's go back to the instances here, to this one. Okay, let's check this page here and close all this. So this is the web server 1. This one is web server 1. So I'm going to give the same name as given here. The reason why I did not add here, because we have to make sure the one which we created is through the AMI that we created some time back. This one is number 2. This is 2 AMIs. Let me check the second one here. Yeah, this web server 2. So we created auto scaling groups here. So we need to configure these 2 servers, the launch configuration to the load balancer. So let's go and create a load balancer. Create a load balancer, application load balancer. I'm gonna give second just gonna give web server here. Okay, so I'm gonna select name1b. Next, I'm gonna create a new security group here. So okay, the it is already there. Next, so we need to select a target group. So here I'm going to give a new target group, so that would be web server 1. Previously that v1 we created or we deleted it, so that there won't be any confusion in this. So given the web server 1, I'm not going to make any changes in this health check as well. So now I'm going to select any of the servers now, review and create. Okay, close. So we created a load balancer with one target group. The one is here. So we're going to create another target group here. So that is for web server 2. So that's it, no changes. Web server 1 and web server 2. So load balancer has this web server 2 target group by web server 1 target group by default. The second one we need to configure it now. So before that we have to go back to the auto scaling group here. We need to configure the target groups that we created in this auto scaling group. So the auto web server 1, auto action edit, not to make any changes here, come down target groups, we're going to select web server 1 here, same. Okay, and the next web server 2, edit, go down to target groups, web server 2, same. So this is we have configured the auto scaling groups with the load balancer target groups. So these are 2 configured now. So next what we have to do is we need to go back to the load balancer. We need to configure the load balancer with the path of these 2 servers. Okay, so we are going back to the load balancer, listeners. We're going to edit the existing default rules here. So here we're going to add new rule, insert new rule. The condition is the path. Do you remember we created a new folder called web server 1. So we're going to give that path here, so that would be web server 1 slash wildcard asterisk. So the reason why we're giving this here, or you can directly give because we have only one file, but here we're going to give asterisk because anything that is there in that particular folder, so that will be forwarded to. That's the reason. So here we're going to select web server 1 target group here. So the target group that we created in the load balancer, we're going to give that here. Okay, so save it. So another rule, path here slash web server, I'm going to give 2 here, same as asterisk as we given in the last rule, forward to web server 2 target group that we created. Okay, and save it. So we created 2 rules here. One is for web server 1 and web server 2. So the path is configured now. Okay, let's go back to the description and the DNS now. So let's put the DNS here. So do you see here the web server 1 page here by default? So this is the default page of the DNS here. So let's see by giving the path of web server 1 here. You see here it got changed to web server 1. So when we give web server 2, it got changed to web server 2. So do you see the how the load balancer works here? So we are using the path. So the traffic is redirected using the paths. So last time it was during, like by default it was every time we refresh the traffic was going to both the servers. So here it is, the traffic is directed by the paths selected by the user. So here we're giving the paths manually here. So the web server 2 and web server 1. Okay, the default page of this is the web server 1 that we given, because when we launched the load balancer, we created default group target group web server 1. So it is taking that. So now you might ask me, why do you have to give the path manually in the link? So the reason is because the reason we have to show you how it is done. That's the reason. It can also be configured or coded in the HTML page itself, but to show you guys how the redirecting works, that's the reason we are given like this. But if you want, I can really show you how you can also do it in the code. Yeah, so here in the web server we can actually configure this. So I'm gonna just log into the one server. This is just to show you it can be done through not need to manually type the path. You can also do it automatically. So let me just show you quickly how it is done. Just need to add the h reference in the code, cd /var html index. So here we can give the path of the web server 1 and web server 2 site, static website. So all we need to do here is, do you see the links here? We can add the links here, for example. So it is web server 1. Since we are just giving the folder here, since because it is there in the same server, If it is not, if it is in a different server, we have to put the IP as well. Here, just gonna change it to web server 1. Okay, then here web server 2. The reference here would be, so I told you we need to give the IP of the second server here. Okay, do you see this? Slash server 2. You see this, the second page. I'm gonna give this in this reference link. Okay, and I'm gonna save. Okay, need to switch to the root user here. Sorry for that. Okay, done. HTML via index. So here, scroll down. I'm just gonna make changes to this file. That's it. Okay. I'm just going to remove the other links. See, so let me just go back here. If we see here the web server that we created, this is a default page, the first page. So I'm gonna click here, so it is taking me to this web server 1. I'm clicking this, it is taking to web server 2. If you see here, it is changing the link of the folder as well. So this just to show you how that works. So that is another way of doing it, so by editing in the code, and another one is making changes in the load balancer. Okay, that is done. So next we're gonna test is the auto scaling group, whether it works or not. So what we can do here is, I'm just gonna stop this server that we just created. Let's see if a new server is launched. So it will take some few minutes to launch the new server. So let's see how much time it takes. So once server stops, so by now the auto scaling group would have identified the server is not running, and the load balancer would have triggered. So now the launch configuration will get the AMI, and the auto scaling group will spin up the instance now. It will take some time here, so let's wait and check if it is spinning. Going to know the scaling group here. You see a new server is launching now. So we need to check for another one, so it might be also initializing. So it is launching in the A1A. So see here, we did not do anything here, so it automatically launched. So to check whether it was automatically launched or not, so we can go to the tags, and do you see this here, auto scaling, group name, auto web server 1. So when any server that is launched using the auto scaling group, there'll be a tag automatically created for that, and the value will be given like this, auto web server 1. Okay, so let me just check if it is launching. See, it's web server 1. Okay, let me check the path here. That's another static website. Yeah, even that is running. So next one would be the web server 2. That will take 1 or 2 minutes to spin up. See here, as I told you, the second server is spinning up now. And the tags, do you see this, auto web server 2? So let's go ahead and check this as well. So meanwhile let's also check the load balancer, what it does. So it's still launching. Let me just go to the load balancer. See, it is directing to the web server 1, since the web server 2 is currently down, so all the traffic will be redirected to the web server 1. Hope you got this point here. So the web server 2 is also ready. So let me change the paths here to web server 2 / web server 2. See here, it is taking to the web server 2. And if we change it to web server 1, here it is taking to web server 1. So the load balancer works perfectly fine, and the auto scaling group also works fine. Do you see this error in here? And the one way that, as I told you, if to check whether the instance launched by auto scaling group or not, to check the tags. So that's it today. So what we learned today is how to host a static website using AWS Ec2 Linux Instance in Apache web server, and another one how to create load balancer and how to divert the traffic, and the second one was auto scaling group, how to create an auto scaling group using an AMI, and how to configure the load balancer, application load balancer, and how to distribute the traffic using the path. So we have learned almost like three AWS services today. So hope you like this video. If you like this video, please like and share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much.